Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Knights of the Alternate Histories. In today's video, we're going to be continuing our mega series with the first ever Part 4. And yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy. We left off just on the beginning of World War I. So yeah, maybe we can get into it and see what happens. I hope you guys do enjoy. Make sure to like and subscribe. School's starting, so video prediction's gonna be slower, but oh well, let's get. We left off with World War I ending and Europe looking like this. Germany expanding more into French and taking parts of Belgium, and the Baltic states as well as Poland being established, Bulgaria becoming greater, the Ottoman Empire is holding on, and Austria-Hungary managed to expand its inevitability before it collapsed, but added a bunch more different ethnic groups, which would hurt it overall in the long run. And in North America, even though Mexico was on the Entente side, they still surrendered early. But the USA has gained a lot more land, mainly taking a lot of line over the Missouri Compromise line, including Missouri itself, and as well as establishing the Yucatan Republic and taking all of Canada, most notably. This would lead to some Canadian rebels, but we'll get that into the next slide. The Confederates would resent this and begin to plan. Canada would start rebelling against the USA almost immediately, and would have to retreat to the northern provinces and northern Quebec, as the US would try to stamp them out, though it would be rather ineffective. And more fights would happen, and a lot more people would die, even though the First World War would be over. This would be the main conflict of the interwar years. Meanwhile, both Britain and France would start going syndicalist, and if you don't know what syndicalism is, basically, well, I have a video coming out on it soon, but basically syndicalism is communism with unions. So both Britain and France would start preparing to go syndicalist, and communism wouldn't really be a thing in the world, but the syndicalist union would rise up. And I know you're talking about, oh, this is just Kaiserreich. No, it's not. Meanwhile, France would start having infighting between the communists and the syndicalists. The syndicalists wanting unions, the communists not wanting what, and other minor differences. Though France would turn, and the syndicalists would support their own independence, and communists would support looking to Germany or the Soviet Union, as they were the ones who defeated the old regime, which the syndicalists came out of. This would lead to division and disunity. France. Meanwhile, the next president of the Confederate States of America would be General Jean-Jacques Pershing. He would quickly rise to power as he would lead World War I in this timeline for the Confederates, as he was born in Missouri, and after his home state being taken, and he lost the war, this would make him very upset, and he would start planning to take revenge and take over the Confederacy. He would create a new form of fascism and would become the dictator of it. And, well, he would start trying to eradicate as many people different from him as he could, and would blame the Union for all of it. By blaming the Union, he would hope to create a sense of hate and people wanting revenge and take back over. Though this would pretty much be very ineffective, except for the deep. In this world, the German economy would crash, which would lead to the Union's crashing as well. With both major world economies collapsing, the Reconstruction years would just be terrible, and they would start issuing the losers of the war, mainly France and Britain and the Confederacy, to start paying up more money. This would cause to radicalization, with people joining Pershing all over, and the syndicalists winning out in France. With the economy just crashing and getting destroyed, this would lead to the creation of new states from Austria-Hungary collapsing. The reintegrated Serbia would form, and all Serbians would go there. The Bosnians would form, and then the Austrian, Croatian, Hungarian Union would also form, as well as the Slavic Republic and Belarus, as well as Free Poland and Czechoslovakia. Italy, with this collapse, would also go syndicalist. By seeing that syndicalism would actually work, the syndicalists would be very effective in the Italian government, overthrowing them, with Benito Mussolini leading this movement, abandoning socialism, and going into more syndicalist ideologies. This would lead to a horrible revolution in Italy, which would leave the country syndicalist. Quickly, syndicalists would rise up in recently abandoned countries. Mainly Czechoslovakia and Free Poland would rise up in syndicalism to try and take out Chechnya monarchists, and the Austrian, Hungarians, and Croatians would have to fight off a mainly Hungarian force, which would start fighting. This war would be brutal and costly, but Serbia would start losing ground almost instantly. Germany would support the monarchists, fearing that they would be surrounded on all sides if they lost former Austria-Hungary. They would quickly try to fight, and not joining the war as to fear other involvement, but would supply men for mainly Chechnya, and Bulgaria would quickly take Serbia and start dividing it in two. Chechnya would start invading Slovakia, and the Austrian-Croatian forces would quickly take Budapest. The Serbian forces would just wish to fight off, and would try to fight off to the last stand, but would quickly be destroyed. And the Slovakians, because Free Poland would almost be completely destroyed, and Hungarian forces would look for a way out to try and perform some sort of democratic government instead of just pure monarchism taking over. So they would fight on, but talk about peace behind closed doors. Bulgaria would just annex Serbia outright. Germany would approve of this, but it would overall hurt their relation. And Slovakia and Hungary would keep on fighting to the bitter last man, thinking that they can still preserve a union somehow, maybe even form together, though that would not be very effective in the end, which they would have to come soon. After spending about 2 years at war, it was almost all over. The Hungarian forces and the syndicalists would plead to France, Italy, and Britain, and even the Soviet Union, to try and help them to do something, though all four of them would have to refuse, due to the fact that causing another world war this early could be disastrous for the syndicalist movement, and Pershing would keep on growing in power. The last forces would quickly be crushed, and their small last stand would be met with rather hostility. They would flee into the Slav republics, but it would overall be destructive, and Belarus would join the Soviet Union with this influence of the Slovakian military invading, but it would overall be ineffective. Here is the map of the ideologies, with Ireland, Scotland, the Netherlands, and Bosnia being the main democracies in the world, and as we mentioned before, the communist/syndicalists being Britain, France, Italy, and the Soviet Union, as well as some of the lower republics, would just be horrible, and monarchism would rule the world, in the Balkans and in mainland Europe. And Spain, well, they didn't know what they were doing. Meanwhile, in America, the Confederate and Pershing's influence would begin to grow and grow and grow, until he declared himself dictator. This map shows the alliances, with the Nordic Alliance, the Syndicalist movement, the Communist Alliance or Comintern, and the Balkan Force. As you can see, Germany has the main force, though this could not be contained for long. Thank you guys for watching that video if you made it to the end. The interwar years, I really haven't gotten to explore that much. With this mega series, it allows me to. Next episode is going to be the series finale, and we're going to be talking about World War II, so subscribe if you want to see that next week. I hope you do have a good one. It's been a pleasure filming this series, even though these are just glorified slideshows. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye! Wow, what a smooth transition. On the left is my most recently uploaded, and on the right, well, that's a video YouTube thinks you should watch. So, why don't you watch it? And for now, goodbye! I'm dead. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Bye.